What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Today is Monday, June 20th, 2022. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup. You know, the problem with coffee is that you're not awake and you kind of need the coffee to make the coffee. The number of times I mess up the coffee, I was putting everything in here and I was about to put the plunger into the French press, and I almost put the cream into that, and that wouldn't have worked. I mean, actually, maybe it would have worked, but I didn't. Got woken up by the bird again today. Again. Didn't get woken up on Saturday because I got up at 4 a.m. and I didn't sleep here Saturday night. I was in Maine with friends. So, bird. Good morning, all of you. Good morning to Stacy and Mark and Andy and Jenny. Stacy says it well. Welcome summer and 46-degree weather. Well, you're bragging about your weather up there in Burlington, while down here it's 40. And overnight, it's probably 37, 38. Yeah. Welcome to summer in Vermont. A place where when I put my winter clothes away, I keep a couple flannel shirts in the closet because you never know. Good morning also, Gad and Dennis and all the rest of you, whether you're watching live later or listening. I hope you had a great weekend. I want to know what you did this weekend. I hope you put it in the chat for me. Let me know what you did. Some of you told me on Friday what you were going to do. Did you do those things? Did you do other things? Was it an enjoyable weekend? Was it not? Do we need to, virtually group hug you to get your week started because it wasn't so good? I had a great weekend. Jenny says it's sweltering there. High 50s, low 60s. Good morning, Brian. Dennis says happy last day of spring, everybody. Yeah, we're getting 40s here while a good portion of the country is sweating to death over 100 degrees. So this weekend, drove over to Maine. Some friends, kid, he's 6, was in his first tournament, and I wanted to go support him and say hi to everybody because I don't go to tournaments very often anymore. And it was a great time. Professionally, it should work out well. There were some discussions that happened that I was hopeful for. It was just a really nice time. This particular family I'm quite close with. I went to junior high with him and met her. I had moved to Vermont. We were all just out of college. So it's been 20 years I've known her and 30 that I've known him. Great people, and their kid's pretty cool too. Some of you may find this interesting. So if you would all played video games back in the day, particularly the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video game on the original Nintendo Entertainment System, they have redone that game for the Nintendo Switch, and it is awesome. I don't know how many hours we put into that Saturday night and Sunday, but it was a lot of fun. And yeah, if you're all a video game person or a Ninja Turtle fan, or you have a Switch and you're not sure what to do, I think Caleb said it was on sale for $22. Get it. It's a great game. Dennis spent Father's Day at the Bronx Zoo, then visiting the folks. It was a very good day. That's awesome. I've never been to the Bronx Zoo, and I've thought about it. Brian says, weather was poo. Father's Day was nice. Breakfast with my dad and 2 youngest. Oldest stopped for a few hours after work. Forgot to get a picture with all 3 kiddos with me. Next time he visits, I will. Ooh. It sounds like a pretty good day other than the weather. And Stacy says, friendship tournament. Yep, that's where I was. That is where I was. Woke up this morning to one of the security cameras telling me there was a cat on the Jeep. I left the Jeep outside because it made it easier to unload. I had stuff that needed to come out of all the doors, and that's difficult when I'm parked in the garage. And yeah, somebody's cat crawling around on my car. That's fine. seemed very confused as to what was going on. I think it liked the fact that it was very square. It was walking around quite confidently compared to the way I normally see cats on cars. Jenny said her weekend was great. 3.5 hour evaluation on Friday night. Didn't get to sleep until 1 a.m., then 2 hours of class on Saturday morning. I'm still feeling it today. Also enjoyed some time with Matt, that's her husband, for Father's Day yesterday, and great conversations with my dad and stepdad. That sounds like a pretty good day. I spent some time yesterday doing something I think my father would have appreciated. I'm not going to really get into it. Let's just say it has to do with some family stuff. Wasn't easy. There was some frustrated walking around and some tears, but got it done. It was good. I'm glad I did it. Jenny says, Brian, I've been terrible about taking pictures when I have the whole crew together. This is something I want to change. Suggestion. Tell everybody how important it is to you. Make it their responsibility. Hey, every time how about this? What if you connect making a small charitable donation and let everybody know, hey, this is important to me and it's so important. I want everyone to help me remember. And every time we do this, since we don't get to do it that often, I'm going to make a donation to such and such. So maybe we can all remember. It's the best I can do. Did I do anything else? I drove back. Stopped in North Conway, New Hampshire, did a little bit of shopping. Bought very little. Bought a new shirt. I'm at this interesting stage where here I am. I'm in my 40s, and I recognize that while sweatshirts and t-shirts and jeans, that works, there are plenty of times I want something more. I want to dress a little bit nicer, but not a suit, not a jacket. I'm sick of polos. I wear some polos, but not that. Something that is not business casual, but something that somebody might look at and say, hey, Jeremy's dressed nice. Not, are you going on a date? Nice, but just like a little bit more, and trying to figure out what that is. So I spent a lot of time walking around stores looking at things saying, nope, that's not me. That's not me. I don't want that to be me. So I'm working on that. Trying to figure out that. What do I look like? What do I want to look like? Jenny unfortunately says, if I tell my kids there will be photos taken, they will not show up. I'll just smack them. Stacey says, pictures, I rarely forget those. Cad's suggestion, a turtleneck and a chain. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to wear. That's going to go over real well. The best part of that visual, think of a chain, because the turtleneck, it's going to come up and over, and it's going to, oh, wow. I hate turtlenecks. I really do. But it's almost worth getting one just for that visual. I have chains. I have silver chains, most of which are older. I haven't worn them in a very long time. All right. Well, it is Monday. Monday means martial arts radio. There's an episode of martial arts radio. Now, here's a name of someone that some of you will not know. A few of you will know. I'm going to guess most of you will hear the name and you'll say, I feel like I've heard that name before. Who is this person? So today's episode is a wonderful conversation with Hanshi Jerry Pittington. Do you know the name Jerry Pittington? When you're done listening, you will. Jerry Pittington was a contemporary of all these big names that we talk about and have had on the show. He is hysterical, like actual laughter in this episode, and tells wonderful stories. he was right there with Bill Wallace and Joe Louis and Al DeCascos and all these guys back in the day. And he lives in the Pacific Northwest now. And we've had a few people that he has as students on the show, and they convinced him to come on and had a great time. As the show grows and we have more and more of the folks from this generation on, it becomes a little bit like a puzzle where we get all of their stories and they overlap, they start to piece together. And, you know, when we have something like this, and I'm probably going to make Dennis cry right here, my apologies, but it reinforces how important it is to have some of these folks on to share their stories before they pass on. You know, we're never going to have Joe Louis on the show. And it's why there are people that I've reached out to, and I just, and they haven't said yes, and sometimes they say no, and I'm like, come on, let's tell your story. Some of them, their story is well told, others not so much. And I think Jerry Piddington fits into that last category. Plenty of people who know him, but here we get an hour in his own words, and I think that that's really important. I think this one might be available in video. I'm not sure. Let me check. Obviously, it's available in audio. No, audio only. So check it out. Let me know what you think. Leave some comments in the Martial Arts Radio Behind the Scenes Facebook group. And if you have connections to other people from that generation, let's get them on the show. Al DeCasco. Who else is on the short list? Al DeCascos, Ernie Reyes, both senior and junior. Or you can talk to Andrew. If you've got people that should go on the list, make sure you talk to Andrew. If you have connections, if you can make intros, even better, talk to Andrew. If you don't have connections to Andrew, you can just message me. Take care, Andy. Jenny says that she's always hated turtlenecks too, but for some reason my aunts would get me them all the time as a kid. I had tons, so suffocating. Yeah, there's something about being a kid and wearing a turtleneck. I don't know what it is. We don't want them. We because they're just like it. There's a Mitch Hedberg joke, and I'm going to make a slight modification to it. And he talks about wearing a turtleneck and how restrictive they are. And he says, you know, if you're wearing a turtleneck and a backpack at the same time, it's like a really small, weak person trying to bring you down. He does it better. He's also willing to go a little non-PC with it, which I try not to do publicly because people take your words out of context. All right. Today is the federal implementation of Juneteenth as a holiday. I know I have at least one meeting that's getting rescheduled. I don't know. I didn't even realize that it constituted a holiday because it's new. And I didn't know that. But I saw at least one email come through from people saying, oh, we have to reschedule. The office is closed. I was like, oh, okay. So we'll figure that out. So my all-day pile of meetings may have fewer meetings. Other than that, I'm going to try to get to the gym. If it stays nice, maybe get outside, do some work outside. Landscaper's supposed to come today, so knock on wood, I don't have to go fix any of his stuff again. Gat says, check out The Lonely Island, which is Andy Samberg and Company's song Turtleneck and Chain. I will have to do that. It's hilarious. All right. Now, Frank gave us some stuff to talk about. So let's see. Where are we? On this day in 1979, how do you say that name? Cael Cael? Seal. I don't know. Cael. How do you say that? Sanderson was born in Salt Lake City, Utah. During his collegiate wrestling years at Iowa State, he competed in 159 matches. He won all of them. What is it about guys from the upper Midwest and them just being dominant wrestling forces? To this day, he is the undisputed best collegiate wrestler of all time. Furthermore, he also won gold at the 2004 Summer Olympics in Athens, Greece. He later spent time as an award-winning wrestling coach at Iowa State and Penn State. So did he retire completely undefeated? If he went to the Olympics and won gold, he didn't lose, right? Because that's an elimination bracket. That's not points. Wow. And this is from playersbio.com. We've got some quotes from this man whose first name I can't say. Unless you continually work, evolve, and innovate, you'll learn a quick and painful lesson from someone who has. It's about as directly applicable to sparring and what many of us do as you get, isn't it? There's a quote that I posted on my personal Facebook that I'm trying to dial in. I'm not sure that it's quite ready. But I actually think the roots of it come back to a First Cup episode last week. This idea came back to an episode interview last Tuesday. This idea that if your goal is to be the best, there are plenty of times where you're not going to put in work because you're already the best. What's the motivation to get better if you're already the best? It gets boring. But if your goal is to continually get better, a lot of really cool things happen. I have known several martial artists who absolutely dominate their divisions in competition, and then will go to others that they competed against and help them. I've seen people, this person was on Team Whistlekick for a year, go just crush them, and then when they're done, they're off on the side for 30 minutes training together. That's the right attitude. That's this attitude. Unless you continually work, evolve, and innovate. Make everyone else better so they push you to get better. So you don't become stagnant or complacent. And that applies to martial arts. It also applies to plenty of other things. Dennis says that the upper Midwest, the wrestling success comes from farm boy strength. That makes sense. Good morning, Frank. Stacy says, Wikipedia says it's Cael. K-A, like K-A-Y-L. Okay, Cael Sanderson. That works. Number 2, wrestlers compete as individuals, yet the sport builds camaraderie like no other. Maybe martial arts as a broader category, but I believe wrestling can be considered a martial art depending on how it's trained and who's training it and why they're training it. It's that intimacy, obviously not romantic intimacy, but that intimacy of being that close to someone and manipulating their body and being aggressive, attacking them while they're trying to defend and do the same to you. There's a trust that happens when you're able to use someone's body and get better at your skill while they're doing the same, and it's done in a mutually trusting manner. That builds a relationship. That builds a strong bond. We joke about it all the time, right? In martial arts, we meet our best friends by getting punched in the face by them. I made my coffee a little too weak this morning. That makes me sad. Oh well. Number 3, anyone can wrestle until they are tired. Oh, so true. How many of you out there have done some grappling work? And bonus points, or even more illustrative, if you are someone who is taught grappling groundwork to new people and they're just, you're like, whoa, chill out. You don't need to do that. If you don't have skill, you compensate with strength. It's not quite as apparent with stand-up striking work. Yeah, I've worked with plenty of people that their first instinct is, I'm going to punch hard, I'm going to kick hard. Well, that just slows them down. It's a little bit easier and get out of the way. That's fine. But in groundwork, you work with somebody who's anywhere close to your size, and they're just rah, putting everything they have into it. Yeah, that means you've got to work a lot harder. That's not fun. Frank says, yes, he is retired both as a coach and wrestler. Frank, was he completely undefeated? Did he ever lose? Like, talk about high school competition or collegiate competition. From that point on, had he lost at all? Because this sounds like someone that would have had a great backstory for pro wrestling, WWE. Anyone can wrestle until they are tired. I'm a little tired still. I kind of want to go back to bed. Late night Saturday. After the tournament, a lot of us went out to eat. That was fun. Got home late. What did we start? We started watching a movie. No, we didn't. We watched TV. Because we were going to watch the new Matrix, and it was like 10:30, and I said, there's no way I'm going to make it. I'm going to pass out in the first half hour. So we watched some TV, and I passed out in about a half hour. And it was great. Yes, Stacy, I get that. But what about after? What about after college? Did he wrestle after college, after the Olympics at all? Did he, was there something else he did? I want to be really impressed that he, from college on, never lost. But I want to, if that's true, I only want to say that if that's true. All right. I'm going to leave you guys something to respond to in the Facebook group once we're done here. We haven't done that in almost a week, and I like doing that, so I'll come up with something for you to respond to. I'll ask you a question. If you haven't been over to the Facebook group, you should. Facebook.com/firstcupwithjeremy. If you don't do Facebook, you can email me if you've got any feedback or questions or anything like that, jeremy@whistlekick.com. If you want to support us in our mission to connect, educate, and entertain, we've got a few things you can do. You could join the Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick. I put up a new video last week. You could use the code FIRSTCUP15 to save 15% on something, anything at whistlekick.com. We're getting a lot of great feedback on the new joggers that are available over there. Maybe you should check them out. The Insight joggers. The full list, whistlekick.com/family. Most of you are family, and that probably means you're checking out the family page. You got to type it in. There's no button. Family supports. And we set this up to give you just a little bit of a barrier because we don't just want everybody going there. So check it out, whistlekick.com. Whistlekick.com/family. We update it weekly, at least weekly. And this show, First Cup, the only martial arts morning show, is live 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. Come on, computer. Nope, that's the wrong button. Try it again. There we go. Come on. Frank says he's going to look into it. And Stacy says doesn't say. And speaking of action movies, Frank watched Under Siege yesterday. I think it's a good movie. All the hate Seagal gets, I think mostly comes in from people who don't really know. They weren't around in the late 80s, early 90s. They don't remember how impactful those films were. I interviewed somebody last week that is going to, not specifically on Seagal, but is going to shed some light on Aikido that I think you're all really going to enjoy. It was a fantastic episode. So I'm going to go. Thanks for coming by. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I appreciate all of you. Peace.